All right. Congratulations.
What an awesome day for myself and our family, and so appreciative of the warm welcome that we've received, and just excited to be a part of the Vol Nation, Vol family. I want to thank Chancellor Pluman and President Boyd for your vision of what you want and foresee in athletics, the importance that it has on a collegiate campus, and entrusting me and our family, but entrusting us to mentoring and teaching these young men the game of life, not just the game of football. To Danny, obviously those same sentiments, but having been around each other for 3 years, believing in the process that we take our kids through and understanding what we're trying to accomplish on the football field. We want to go chase championships. We want to be our absolute best. At the same time, we want to develop them in life too, and appreciate you guys entrusting us with the care of this program and these young men and individuals. When I was talking with Chancellor Plowman last night, one of the things that just registered with me and made this job opportunity so exciting is the aligned vision between leadership with everybody sitting here today. And we talked about the importance of having a shared common vision, being able to work at our purpose to accomplish those things every single day, and everybody pulling the rope the same direction. And when you have that in leadership, that's going to transcend through in your entire campus and hopefully throughout our entire state here in Tennessee. And when you do those things, great things are capable of happening. And obviously, I'm here because we have the opportunity to go chase championships on the football field. I also want to take this time to thank my wife, Dawn, my co-pilot in life. She's probably piloting most of the time when I'm at the office. My beautiful daughter, Hannah, and my son, Jace. They woke up to a changed world today. They were excited. There were a few tears maybe at the beginning of the day, but excited once they saw the orange tea on the plane. They were ready to jump on top or jump in and get here. Jace is excited. I was texting with Peyton Manning earlier, and he's waiting on counting down the days until he's able to catch a ball from him out on the game field. That was his first ask as we got on the plane. So I want to thank the players and the staff at UCF. Last 3 years have been a tremendous journey, tremendous ride. I appreciate them allowing me as their coach to be a part of their individual journey and accomplish so many great things. So proud of who and what we were as a program. So excited to see their success this year. Just great leadership inside of the locker room. And when you have great leadership from within, all things are possible, and appreciate each and every one of them. One of the things that also registered with me is I was talking with the leadership here last night on a Zoom call, was Danny's conversation with the leadership council and the football team, and the things that they are focused on accomplishing. That's why they came here to one of the biggest and best brands in college football. But the things that they feel like they want to make sure that the locker room, that they have inside of the locker room. And at the end of the day, it came down to connection. And that's one of the things that's extremely important to me. It's been really hard during this past year with COVID, but you play this game. It's a tough, physical, demanding game. You play it because of connection. And there's got to be a sense of belonging, a sense of brotherhood that has to reside inside of that locker room. And to do that, you got to spend time with each other. And you have to do things outside of the game. And that's one of the things that we try to pride ourselves on inside of our program here at Tennessee as we move forward, is that sense of connection. And that allows you to go chase greatness outside of the game. When you are connected, you have a chance for love. When you have love, you're able to sacrifice for your teammates. And this game is all about sacrifice. And accountability is something that we talked about as well, and making sure that we're being accountable to each other, the program, the process, and the people that reside inside of it. On the offensive side of the football, Danny mentioned some of the successes that we have had as a program at UCF and throughout my tenure. We're going to play with tempo here. We're going to be the aggressor. We're going to play with our skilled players out in space. We're going to give them an opportunity to push the football down the field. At the same time, if you really watch what we do, we're extremely balanced in our approach as far as run and pass. We want to be physical. We want to dominate the line of scrimmage. Those are all things that are going to translate to what we're doing here in Knoxville. At the same time, that aggressive mentality that we have on the offensive side of the football is going to carry over to what we're doing on the defensive side of the football as well. We'll be multiple in all fronts, 3-man, 4-man fronts. We're going to bring pressure. We want to create negative plays. I think in the game of college football, offensively, it's about creating big plays. Defensively, it's about creating negative plays and getting people off schedule. You put those two things together, you got a chance to have a really successful game plan and ultimately a season. And excited about embarking down that road as we get together as a football program here after this. I think one of the things that's extremely important to the lifeblood of any program, but to the lifeblood here at Tennessee is recruiting. And that's one of the great things here is that you have a national name, national logo that allows you to go coast to coast and go attract the biggest, the best, and the brightest. At the same time, the most important thing that we do is lock down our borders. We have to keep kids inside of this state here. And that's for multiple reasons. They're going to come play championship caliber football. They're going to be developed. They're going to have an opportunity to move on to the NFL. They're going to get a great degree, and they're going to be empowered to live inside of the state once they are done with that degree. But we have to do that inside of our own borders. And that's going to come from me, a focus on recruiting in-state from me. It's got to transcend through our assistant coaching staff. But it's also got to reside in every every Vol fan here inside the state of Tennessee. And I say that meaning that everybody's got to bring energy and passion, create and sustain a positive movement through everything that we're doing to create the sustainable change that we need to lock down the borders here with our recruits. Excited about what we're embarking on, excited to be a part of Vol Nation, excited to do my very best for the state of Tennessee every single day. I promise you that our staff will do the exact same thing. And I promise you that we're going to embark on going to become what we're capable of as a football program day by day and go chase championships and win those championships. With that, I'm going to open it up for some questions.
We'll start here in the room, and reminder, please state your name and affiliation. We'll start with Jimmy.
Jimmy Himes with Sports Animal in Knoxville. How soon do you feel like you need to put together a staff, and will you consider staff members from Central Florida?
We'll consider staff members from Central Florida. We'll do that. Also, current members on this staff, we'll have a conversation with them here, the members here at Tennessee. It's important that we put together a staff at the right time, that we get the right people, more than it is simply about the urgency of putting that staff together. But yes, we want to do it in a timely fashion.
Go to David here in the front.
David, I'm with The Athletic. When you sort of look at this roster right now, what is your message to guys that are, considering going in the portal and guys that are already in there? And of course, could you envision a scenario bringing players from UCF here?
Will not recruit players off of a roster that I was a part of. Don't believe that's the right thing to do. To the current members of this football program and this roster, we need to be a family. We need to act like a family. And everybody's got a different perspective based on their background of what a family is at times. When you sit in front of your team and there's 105 guys, in front of you, everybody's got a little bit different perspective. But at the end of the day, a family to me is defined when push comes to shove, that family stays together. Let's stay a family. Let's trust the people that are in place to help you become what you're capable of. You chose this university for the right reasons. And I'm saying have a chance to be an elite football program. The tradition says that it should be. It's our job to get it back to that level. You're going to get an elite education and be in one of the best communities in college football. You walk out inside of that stadium. I've played here, or coached here, I should say. That's an electric stadium. There's not a better atmosphere in college football. Cannot wait to walk out to that post-COVID, next fall, and hear Rocky Top being played as we're running out. That I just got goosebumps thinking about it. All those things are still here. Trust me, our leadership, who I'm going to bring in, give us a chance, all right, for our family to become connected. Let's go have fun together. Work hard, but let's have fun together and compete.
Jordan?
Hi, Josh. Jordan Kramer with WATE TV. With this investigation ongoing into Tennessee football and therefore the outcomes, kind of maybe some penalties that may be handed down, not known at this time, how much did that ultimately factor into your decision? And then because you are here, standing here right now, why did it not deter you from this job?
Yeah, I had a very frank conversation with every person of leadership about what had transpired, what their knowledge is, what they believe is going to transpire as far as any penalty. And the reason that I'm standing here today is because I believe in a very, very, very bright future for Tennessee football. I believe that there's a minor speed bump that we're going through, but the kids that are in our program right now and the kids that are being recruited are all going to have an opportunity to go play and chase championships.
Go to Patrick.
Patrick Brown with 24/7 Sports. Josh, you talked a lot about your offensive philosophy. How would you kind of describe your background and how your schemes and the way you've played has changed over your years at Oklahoma, Utah State, Missouri, and at UCF?
Yeah, at the end of the day, you become a culmination of everything that you've done, but you really do change year to year based on what your personnel is. That's who your quarterback is, what your skill set is there. Who are the skill players around him, whether you're going to play in 3 wide receiver sets, 4 wide receiver sets, or you're going to be in 2 tight end sets. We've played in all of those things. It comes down to always looking at, and this is, I think it's critical on the offense side of the ball, but it's the same thing I'm going to talk to our defense staff and our special team staff about, is don't look at what kids can't do, look at what they can do at a high level and put them in a position of success. That is a coach's job. That, understand who your players are and put them in a position of success. And so we'll base what we do offensively as far as our personnel groupings and some of the subtle schemes based on what our personnel is. But it's grown and changed throughout the years for sure.
Blake in the back.
Hey, Josh. Blake Topmeyer, Knoxville News Sentinel. Kind of a follow-up to that question. Your scheme is obviously a fair bit different than what Tennessee was doing. How do you go about establishing that new system in one off season? And then specifically with the staff, is Kevin Steele someone you would like to keep on the staff going forward? I'm
going to have a conversation with everybody that's on staff. I'll touch on that question first. I think that's important. The first question was the temple portion of it, how you install it.
Installing your scheme in one off season.
Well, we've done it successfully multiple times, different places that I've been. Your coaches have to get caught up to speed on what you're doing if they haven't been inside of the system. You got to coach your coaches, and then your coaches got to put in time with your players. And there's only one way to get to where you need to be, and that's time, effort, and energy, right? And our players have to be willing to go above and beyond to get where we need to be. We will be able to get there, no question in my mind, as we get into spring ball through summer workouts. And by the time we get to the end of training camp, we'll be in a good position by the time we hit the ground in the fall.
We'll take some virtual questions. We'll start with Dennis Dodd, CBS.
Hey, Josh, congratulations. I wonder, big picture, if you could just, in retrospect, what did the firing at Oklahoma in 2014 mean to you and mean to your career?
Give me a chance in some ways, Dennis, just to kind of restart and relook at what I wanted to do on the offensive side of the football. And as a coordinator, you're always going to try to carry out your head coach's vision. There were a lot of things we did successfully. I think we were top 10 in the country in offense that year, playing with a freshman quarterback and that maybe started, last 2/3 of the season. Ran into a buzzsaw in a bowl game against a really good Clemson football team. But it gave me an opportunity just to reshift my focus on what I wanted to be as far as an identity on the offensive side of football.
Great, thanks.
We'll go to Mike Wilson virtually.
Yeah. Hey, Josh. Mike Wilson from the Knoxville News Sentinel. I'm just curious what the challenges are of being hired in late January, opposed to coming in, typically in November as a new hire. So what challenges do you expect with signing day coming up fast and spring football coming up fast?
Yeah, the toughest part is getting a hold on what your roster actually is, what are the needs, and signing day being as close as it is, are those vacancies that you want to fill? Do you want to hold them? It's a different landscape now too because of the transfer portal, and we talked about that as far as our own roster here. But junior college football is taking place this spring as well. So as you get through spring ball, you potentially are going to need to fill some spots on your roster at that time as well. It's a little bit different cycle, unique than what it has been in the past.
One more question virtually, Mike Bianchi.
Yeah, Coach Mike Bianchi, Orlando Sentinel. I'm wondering, you talked about the football team as a family. Well, the family down here lost the head of the family. How did your players handle it? Were you able to talk to them? And also, is being able to compete for championships at the highest level, did that have anything to do with your decision?
Got an opportunity to talk with our football team in Orlando this morning. It was important to me that we did that. At the same time, created a video message for our new football team here in Knoxville. And they were able to simultaneously, as I was having that conversation with them, receive a message from me on what I saw as the future of Tennessee football and things that are important inside of our culture. I love the players in Orlando. It was a hard morning. I said that about my kids when they found out that their home was going to change. They're excited now too. But that was a tough conversation because you care deeply about the people that you're pouring a lot of time and energy into, as we did. I think for my family and I coming here, it's because we believe in this university. We believe in this football program. We believe in the leadership that we have here in place, and it's clearly aligned. And there's a direct correlation to that alignment and the ability for me to go do my job at the highest level.
We'll come back to the room here, to the middle, and Brent.
Brent Hubbs, VolQuest.com. 2 questions. What did you learn in the 2 years at Missouri about the SEC and kind of how you have to play football here? Is it any different than at UCF or anywhere else? And 2, how do you feel like you've grown the last 3 years the most as a head coach, CEO, leader of a program beyond just being a play caller?
Yeah, I think your communication skills and how clear your communication has to be, not with your football coaches, but with every support staff group that interacts with your players to give them the best opportunity to be successful. I think that's the number one thing as I've looked back on the last 3 years that I'm in a better place today than I was before. Your initial question was
Just what you
the
learned
SEC.
in your first
Right.
the SEC about maybe playing.
Yeah, well, I think the line of scrimmage in this league is different than it is in other leagues, right? So you got to do a great job of recruiting, developing those guys. That size strength matters up front. You got to do a great job. You're going to face elite pass rushers in this league, and so you got to do a great job of protecting your quarterback as well, just from an offensive standpoint. But I think the line of scrimmage is the biggest difference.
To Coach's far right, Trey.
Trey Wallace, Fox Sports Knoxville. Your relationship with Danny and the years that you've spent with him, was there ever a thought process in your mind that when he took the job here, maybe somehow you ended up in Knoxville? And what have you learned from Danny and y'all's relationship over the last 3 years that you think you can bring here to Knoxville to better this institution?
Yeah, when Danny got the job, was disappointed that he wasn't going to be there anymore. We had a conversation after it went public and wished him well. And that was really the end of that conversation. Didn't think about this opportunity in that way. I think as a football coach, you're typically just living in the environment that you're in. You're so encapsulated in that. That's your sole focus that you don't think outside of those things. I think for Danny and I, there's for me, and I don't want to speak for him, but there's great comfort in coming here and knowing exactly what you're getting out of the leader that you deal with the most. There's a clear vision of what he wants for the student athlete experience, which is extremely important, and a clear vision of what he wants as an athletic department as a whole. And there's a lot of entities inside of our program here that are doing extremely well. You look at our basketball programs. It's my job to make sure that we're getting this built to the level where we can go chase championships every year too.
Up front here to Rick. Trey kind of asked the same question I was going to ask, but first of all, welcome to town and to
Thank
you
you.
and your family, and Rick Russo, by the way, WVLT News. But yeah, is there a sense of comfortability for you knowing that Danny is here and the big vision for you, for UT football, sustained success? Talk about that and how important that is to you.
Yeah, we had a conversation. What are we looking for, and how are we trying to build this? And it's a long-term vision, right? I believe that we can have immediate success as well. We got really good players inside of that locker room. You know, I've watched a little bit of tape, or I've seen them in recruiting. There's good players in there. It's our job as a coaching staff to get them ready to go play their absolute best and go compete every Saturday. You know, so. But at the same time, there's a long-term vision of what we're trying to build here for sustainable success, and a clear vision of how we're trying to do that.
One more question in the room here, and then we'll go back virtually. David.
Hey, Coach, David Shealy with WBIR. Danny talked about how you're a great developer of young quarterbacks. What qualities does a quarterback need to have to be successful in your system?
We've had different guys play with a different skill set. We've had, I mean, just going back through my tenure, we've had guys that were pure pocket guys, to guys that have been able to use their feet in the run game, in designed runs, or reading pressures off the edge, use their feet as a weapon in scrambles. And we've had guys that have fallen somewhere in between. We've had, 6'3" guys, and we've had 5'10" the last couple of years at UCF. It's about the makeup and the guy inside as much as it is anything. How competitive are they? I think that's extremely important. It drives them every day. What is their ability to react and respond to adverse situations? Can they wipe the slate clean from the previous play? Can they handle all the noise and all the pressure that's going on around them, not just on game day, but in everyday life as they walk through campus? Can they meet the expectations and the work habits that you have to have? So all of those little things add up to a guy playing at a championship level at that position. And if you're going to chase championships, you better have a championship quarterback.
Back to the screen in the back, David Pascal.
Josh, congratulations. David Pascal down here at Chattanooga Times Free Press. For those of us that obviously didn't follow you every day at UCF, you look at that 28-8 record. I know you were 22-4 those first 2 years and 6-4 this past year. There were obviously external factors that everybody had to deal with in college football, but why did this last team not quite have that resounding success that your first two teams did?
Yeah, all of our games except for one loss were one possession games, really tight ball games. This past year, and everybody in America was dealing with it. COVID was a unique situation unto itself, and how you brought your football team back. What were their workouts while they were away from you? When did you actually get your entire team back? What did your practice habits look like? For us, we didn't meet until the fourth game of the season, I think, as far as being in a full team meeting that wasn't virtual. We lost some close ones. And I think you look at the beginning of the season, I think we had close to 10 opt-outs, and all those came because of different reasons and different challenges that they faced in their backgrounds. Some of them might be a parent that was ill. Some of them had young children, just different backgrounds. And as the season wore on, I thought we got thinner as a football team and lost a couple of close ones to some good football teams.
Two more questions for Coach. We'll go to Austin Price.
Coach Austin Price, VolQuest.com. Every coach that's sit up here the last 12 years or so, every time they've had a coaching change, has talked about closing the borders. How important is it more so just to make sure Tennessee's a focus more so? Because, kids are going to leave the state. It's impossible to sign 25 kids from one state. So how important is it just to more make this a focus than it is necessarily close the borders? And then two, how much will you reach out as an alum of Oklahoma? How much will you reach out to the alums of Tennessee, the former football players that you may know through crossing paths with over the years, to make sure they feel like, hey, you guys are welcome here. The door is always open to come to practice, to come do all those type of things.
If you play football here, you're welcome back here. I don't care if that's spring practice. I don't care if it's observing a workout. I want you guys around. I want them around our football program. It's important to me. I hope, when we get back to having spring games, I'm assuming that there's an event that surrounds that weekend, for former players, that a golfing outing, coming to the game. I want guys here, guys that are currently playing. Hopefully they come back and they're working out here during the off season. Those are all things that I think are important. They give back to the players that are here, and so hopefully that does happen. Will I reach out to them? Absolutely. Your first question was the recruiting question, right?
Just making it a focus, not necessarily closing the borders, but making Tennessee the big focus.
Yeah, I didn't know that everyone had sat up here and said close the borders, but I do believe, like, I'd like to close the borders, right, and not let any of them out. Is it going to be a focus? It absolutely will be a focus for us. That's the challenge for myself, for our coaching staff, to make contact with those guys and make sure they understand the importance that they have inside of our program and the opportunity that they have inside of our program too. And is today being day one for me, right? Giving them a clear vision of what we anticipate this looking like when you're here.
One more question for Coach Wes Rucker.
Hey, Josh, I know that, the Tennessee program historically, I think maybe one of the 10 or so winningest programs in major college history, but hadn't for maybe 12, 13 years now, hadn't been a consistent winner. Did you have to maybe call some colleagues, some friends across the country to make sure that they still believed you could win big at a place like this, or was that not a factor in your mind?
I think all the elements to win here are here. You are the biggest show, right? You walk out in that stadium and there's 100,000+ fans inside the stadium. Your facilities are as good as there are in the entire country. You're going to get a world-class education. So a lot of the infrastructure that you need to be successful is absolutely here. Now it's about putting the right people in place to reach our young people so that we can have sustainable success here. Certainly believe that. Having competed against them in the past, having watched them from afar, having talked to coaches that have been inside of this program in recent history.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.